Hi, I'm Jill Bonovitz. This is my studio where I work in clay and in wire and occasionally paint. I got interested in art at a very early age because I was surrounded by it as I was growing up. My mother had an art gallery, the Janet Fleischer Gallery. Art was very important in our household. Later on, when I went to college, I studied psychology so that I would be employable. But I took art courses at the same time. When I was teaching special needs children, I was also studying ceramics in the village at a class at somebody's studio. What got me into working in clay was taking a trip out west and seeing not only the pottery that the Native Americans did, but the cave drawings. That really inspired me and got me started. After I was married and had children, I went back to Moore College of Art, took enough credits to be able to go to graduate school. There were 4 other people who were at Moore, and we got together to look for a studio, and we found this wonderful large building that was too big for us in Old City, and we decided we would take in other artists, and that was the beginning of the clay studio, which became my graduate school. Almost everything I make in clay relates in some way to the vessel. I started out very traditionally making functional ceramics and then branched off into more non-functional work. Some of the work is terracotta with majolica glaze. Most of it is porcelain. I've made all of our plates at home, our bowls, our serving dishes, and I still get tremendous pleasure out of that, both in the making and the using. Each series that I work on, I have in mind some kind of drawing that I want to do. I was telling my grandson about Bill Anastasi, who sits on the subway with paper and pencil and lets the jiggles of the subway do the drawing. Quinn was very interested in this and had the idea that when we were in the car, he was going to try this, letting the jiggles of the car do the drawing. Then he would do it when he was walking. He did it on a bus, on the airplane. And the drawings were fabulous, and so I started doing the same thing and have used those drawings also in my clay work. As I'm making the plate, I draw with the slip, which is watered down clay. So the raised part is the slip. I use a tool to swoosh it around and draw with it. And then I fire it. When I'm going to glaze it, I draw with pencils and glazed chalk, under glazes, all of which goes on first, and then I follow with a clear glaze over it. About 10 or 15 years ago, I started working in wire. The way I got started working in wire was that we needed a fruit basket, so I got a coat hanger and made a basket for our fruit, which turned out not to be a good idea because all the fruit became rotted on the bottom from the line of the wire. So I put the fruit basket up on the wall in my studio, looked at it for many years. When I came upon a dry time in my clay work, I decided to try and make a basket out of more flexible wire. And that got me started in making vessels out of wire, which have evolved into something different. Often I include berries or tape or rose petals. It helps move your eye around the piece. They definitely relate to drawing. They relate to the drawing in the clay vessels. They also relate to my porcelain vases, which have handles that whirl around or a coil that twists around the top of the pieces. The wire is the edges of what's not there, and the clay is the essence of what is there. I respond to minimalism, and in my own work, that's what I'm trying to achieve. Part of this comes from my love of Japanese calligraphy. I love the pottery, the paper, the textiles. Always with the least amount of line, color, I've tried to have a beautiful form with some drawing in it that gets to the essence of the work.